Welcome to Vsb News Online for Wednesday, March the 25th. I'm Charles Webb. All of Bermuda's emergency agencies were today involved in a mock tsunami disaster, which is stimulated landslide 200 miles off Cape Canaveral, triggered by a 6.8 magnitude earthquake, sent a series of 5-foot wedges on collision course with Bermuda. The exercise went according to plan, but Kimberly Zhu, director of the Bermuda Weather Service, told Vsb News that making immediate contact with the Bermuda community was still an awesome task.
The problem occurs when we will get the message, and the Bermuda Weather Service always will distribute the message with our communication channels. We're a bit in trouble in the area of bringing people's attention, so we need to have a trigger to alert people to receive that message. And this is where something along the lines, other countries will have sirens to bring the community's attention to an emergency message, such as a tsunami watch or warning. It's also important for the community to understand the differences between what a watch is and what a warning is. To know that a watch means, okay, I must pay attention to information coming out, and a warning means I must do something. That's why with social media, I try to push the fact that you can have notifications through Facebook with the Bermuda Weather Service. The is that all parishes have high ground, and so you don't need to consider in your plan all going to a common point that is generally considered the highest point on the island. Look at a map and see where you are and figure out where a closer hill is. Just be aware of where you are and where you can go, 60 feet and above.
Home Affairs Minister Senator Michael Fay considers the new immigration procedure to permit PRCs to purchase homes to be so important that he's elected to introduce it first in the Senate himself rather than have it go through the traditional debate in the House of Assembly. He explained the bill to Vsb News' Brian Darby.
We are doing this because we know that there are literally hundreds and hundreds of properties in Bermuda that are either in foreclosure, have been sitting on the market for a number of years. Families are in a negative equity position and simply have not realized the value in their home because there's not enough people that are able to purchase those properties. And this legislation will help Bermudians realize their value in their property. Bermudians are not just buyers, are also sellers of property. And we have people, as a fixed number of people here, who could take advantage of this particular legislation and invest in Bermuda, which creates all kinds of obvious benefits to the Bermudian housing market and the like. What's important, Brian, this to me is an incredibly important point that I need people to understand. We are not, in this legislation, raising the cap on the acreage that is available to non-Bermudians. The previous government, in 2012, raised the acreage that is available for non-Bermudians from 2,000 acres to 2,500 acres. And they didn't know how much acreage was in fact owned by non-Bermudians. So in one swoop, they increased the availability by 25% without actually having looked at the facts. This legislation is not raising that any further. So in other words, the 2,500 acre amount stays the same. Permanent residents will still require a license to purchase property and will still be required to pay a tax as they currently do at the moment. There are a number of other provisions in there that liberalize restrictions that currently exist for fractional units and the amount of time that individuals who are going to reside in Bermuda at a hotel, whether it's a unit at a hotel as a fractional or a full unit, can reside in Bermuda without restriction. Again, that's something that developers are looking for to make an investment in Bermuda.
As a reward for achieving academic excellence, 5 primary school students were today presented with nifty-looking paddle cycles refurbished by inmates at the Westgate Correctional Facility. The scheme is part of the Lifeline program in which inmates give back to the community. Premier Michael Dunkley hailed it as proof of some of the positive work going on at Westgate. Prisoner Commissioner Edward Lamb praised the program, while Judith Alexander, principal of Paget Primary School, offered thanks on behalf of the ministry and the students.
When I heard about the presentation today, I made sure that I cleared my calendar, simply because corrections needs all the support we can give them. They have a very important and critical job in our society today that they deal with. There are people that are sentenced for acts that they've done, and they come in and they have to live their life and move forward. And there are two parts of correction. One is the incarceration. The other part is getting your feet back on the ground and having a meaningful purpose in our community.
As part of our mandate in the Department of Corrections, not just locking people up, we have a duty to offer the opportunity to inmates to give back to our community, to give back to the society from which they took. And so I'm very proud of the initiative here this morning, which also is, again, a manifestation of our belief that inmates do have something to contribute to the wider community, despite their station in life. So this presentation this morning really represents what we are all about, not just on the one hand locking people up, but also affording them the opportunity to give back to our community.
We are just so grateful to the Prisons Department for the work that they've done and for thinking about our children and honoring our children, because we can't always give every child what they deserve, but it's always nice to have something to reach for and to know that someone just reached out and did something for you just because they think that you're special, even though they don't know your name. So on behalf of myself, and I know my colleagues too, I want to say a big thank you to the Prisons Department, because this is really the best when we talk about the departments working together, and I know that on behalf of the Education Department, my minister will be very grateful to know that you thought of us. So thank you very much.
St. David's Island is about to increase its population at least for a day when the Bermuda National Trust Palm Sunday Walk explores the heart of the eastern part of the island for the first time in some 25 years. National Trust Conservation Officer Mujib Swan says the route covers some 5 miles and will take close to 3 hours to complete. Walkers will travel through interesting fords, pristine beaches, and take in Great Head Park's breathtaking cliffs.
We've only done St. David's once before. I believe that's been over 10 years ago. However, the route has been designed differently. So we get to explore a pretty picturesque area of St. David's not normally taken.
Now, are there any hazardous areas? Because St. David's is pretty well, countrified.
Right. Well, we've made accommodations for all those hazards, hence us avoiding having people bring dogs and strollers, but we also have marshals along the way to assist going down embankments and along the trail and during certain junction areas of the road.
Now, this walk normally attracts quite a lot of people. Are you anticipating a greater crowd this year than last?
Hopefully so. Again, like I said, it's new. We've never taken that route before. Hopefully, if the weather is great, should bring more people out, and it's an annual event that we have participants that call on a daily wanting to know where and to make sure that they're on time, and we accommodate them as far as parking and the like. Well, I would say that routes along the way have been restricted. That's due to overgrowth or trails seldomly taken because you can't see them by the road. We've made those available along with Parks Department, and come out and explore. It's picturesque. It's going to be a sight worth seeing.
As the Senate debated the spending of $49 million on financial assistance in the year ahead, opposition leader Senator Diallo Rabban brought up the subject of what he called the elephant in the room.
One of the things that consistently, Madam Chair, that I feel doesn't get looked at, or does but kind of gets glossed over, and it's the elephant in the room that really needs to be spoken to when dealing with financial assistance. And that elephant that I'm referring to is the fact that financial assistance is dominated by Black Bermudian clients, absolutely dominated. And it's something that doesn't necessarily get spoken to. I don't believe we heard in the junior minister's brief a breakdown of the racial component of the clients, but we do know that Black Bermudian clients make up an overwhelming percentage. I believe out of the numbers are like over 2,000 are Black, 170 are white. which is an incredible number. But it also speaks to something else within our society that we seemingly have an unwillingness to tackle. Now, the previous government came in 1998, and by all accounts, I'm sure they've figured out, they figured at that time how difficult it was to tackle this. And well, what I'm referring to is how can we effectively dismantle the system that still plays into a economic disparity that is within this island. That economic disparity that I talk about. But I hearken back to something, to a speech that was read back in 2011, and I just want to quote a passage from that speech. And it was, as I said, it was spoken in the other place, and it said, "We must address racism and the dysfunction from racism on both sides. We need to genuinely champion justice. We need a transparent commitment for equality. We need to tell the truth." It was some powerful words that were spoken, and this was spoken by the then opposition leader, Craig Kenninger, in his very first reply to the throne speech, as I said, in other place, November 2011. And I remember that because it was something that really took people back. It was finally someone had come out and just said what people were thinking.
And we'll be back with more news right after this.
In an effort to make Bermuda's roads safer, and in partnership with Bermuda Police Service and the Bermuda Road Safety Council, DeFon's Broadcasting is launching a safe driving campaign. Complete with thumb bands, come into DeFon's Broadcasting at 94 Reed Street and make the commitment to drive safer and slower for yourself. Your voice could be featured on the radio. Get yourself a thumb band as a reminder of your commitment to drive safer and with fewer distractions. While you're at it, why not get one for someone in your life who also needs a reminder that our roads do not discriminate. They can take anyone's life. Let's drive safe, Bermuda, and arrive alive. Peace and love. Safe journeys.
It has been going on informally for years, but now it will be an official policy for the Immigration Department to encourage employees to report abuses of the conditions that come with all work permit awards. In particular, half-hearted training programs. Home Affairs Minister Senator Michael Fay presented the new policy in the Upper House this morning.
The information being provided in respect of the training of Bermudians is not as robust as perhaps it could be. And what we've discovered is that in a number of circumstances, the employees of a company who the application says have been trained are unaware that an application is being made in respect of certain individuals. So we thought in order to fix that and make the process that much more transparent is to ensure that companies that are making applications for work permit exemptions for senior executives under incentive for job makers will have to notify the company employees that that is happening, to give those employees an opportunity to advise immigration if in fact the individuals making the application have ever trained Bermudians or if there's an adequate training program in place. It isn't simply enough to take the word of the employer, and we're certainly not saying that we shouldn't, but it gives a very transparent opportunity for people to make representations to the department, and that policy will be updated and in place on the 1st of April.
You've probably already seen that happen. People have done it without knowing they can't.
That's exactly right. Even though there's not a specific policy in place that says, oh, you can come to immigration and make representations. Of course, some have been made, and when they are, we certainly look at them before we approve or reject an application. Again, information can't just be anecdotal. In other words, I heard or my friend told me. It's got to be concrete examples, and that's what we're trying to look for and give opportunity where opportunity is due.
There may have been some criticism that we're not getting enough information about the America's Cup, but it's all going to come out bit by bit if the Bermuda grapevine is up to snuff. Take that fleet of cars being brought in by a major sponsor, for example.
You may recall the mini convertibles that were provided to convey the America's Cup and top officials from the Oracle sailing team around the island, shortly after Bermuda was awarded the hosting honours for the prestigious yachting event. Well, you're going to see a lot more of them. A fleet of an estimated 80 such vehicles has been imported by a major sponsor to be used over the next 3 years by the America's Cup officials and their families. The modern Mini is represented in Bermuda by Bermuda Motors, who have stored the vehicles for the time being on Morgan's Point under strict security. When they do take to the roads, they will carry the distinctive America's Cup logo seen on the original cars used in December's parade from the airport to the cabinet. Brian Darby reporting for Vsb News.
And now let's turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the sports desk.
Bermuda later this evening will get their 2018 Russia FIFA World Cup campaign underway in a clash with the Bahamas. Bermuda's match in the Bahamas will kick off at 8:30 p.m. Bermuda time at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium in Nassau.
Team spirit and team morale is very good, very high. The group is very cohesive, gelling together. So we've been very pleased with that. They've been following all of the structure that has been put in place for them in regards to the preparation. So, you know, we're feeling confident. The boys are feeling ready to go and anxious to get out and put in a good display, take care of business tonight, and then get home Sunday and finish this off in front of our Bermuda crowd.
The 2015 Bermuda Open Championship continued at the Port Royal Golf Course yesterday. American Jimmy Little continues to lead the professional division after shooting a second round 1 over par 72 and sits at 4 under par overall. Englishman Mark Davis is in second at 3 under par after his round of 4 under par. Another Englishman, Gordon Brand, Canadian Michael Gillick, and American Justin Rieger are all currently at 1 over par. Michael Sims leads the Bermuda group of players after his second round 1 under par 70 that sees him in 9th. Kamiko Smith is in 22nd after his round of 8 over par. Nicholas Jones and Andrew Trott are 23rd and 24th after rounds of 6 over and 5 over par. The Bermuda flag continues to hold the top 4 positions in the Open Amateur Division. Mark Phillips shot an identical second round score to that of his opening round of 3 over par 74 and now leads by 7 strokes. Damian Paliande shot a second round 10 over par 81 and is in second, while Joshua Cabrera shot a second round 7 over par 78. Timothy James shot a second round 11 over par 82 and now leads the first flight by 2 strokes over first round leader Bill Pitt, and Walter Jackson shot a second round 84 to move into third place at 36 over. The St. George's Cricket Club president Neil Painter presented St. George's Cricket Club and Bermuda international cricketer Christian Burgess with a check of $1,000 yesterday. A total of 30 records were broken during the 4-day Schroeder Spring Swimming Championships 2015 held at the Bassa Pool last week. The records set include 25 individual age group records, 1 relay age group, 3 Bassa Pool, and 1 Bermuda national record. Madeline Moore set 12 new records in total alone in the 13 to 14 girls age group. She set 9 age group records, 3 Bassa Pool records, and 1 national record, which came during the 50-meter butterfly, where she touched the wall in a time of 28:46. 8 age group records were set by Elijah Daly, competing in the 8 and under boys age group, while Jesse Washington set 4 new 15 to 16 boys age group records. Elin Daly broke 2 9 and 10 girls age group records, and Emma Harvey set 2 new 13 to 14 girls age group records. Carrie Knox, Taylor Horan, Elin Daly, and Maya Ferguson are the 9 and 10 girls age group record holders for the 4x50-meter medley relay. Meanwhile, Ashley Yearwood and her Denison University women's swimming teammates took to the pool for the 2015 NCAA Division III Swimming and Diving Championships in Texas. Through 5 events, Denison sit in second place with 124 points. Yearwood began taking part in the women's 50-yard freestyle, where she finished 7th overall with a time of 23:60. The night was capped off by the 200-yard medley relay team of Carolyn Kane, Marissa Bernack, Yearwood, and Mary Van Leuven. They were seeded 5th in the trials with a time of 1:42.75, and the team went and finished in 5th place with a time of 1:42.24. Tyler Smith and her ASA College #1 ITA nationally ranked women's tennis teammates made a big statement by winning every match against second seed Tyler JC. Smith, playing in the #3 position, defeated her opponent in straight sets 6-4, 6-2. She then teamed up with Mingan Du in the doubles #2 spot and won their match 8-3. In Commercial League bowling action at the Warwick Lanes saw the Braves defeat Double Trouble 4-0. Sweet Life defeated the BPS Blue Lanterns 3-1, while Team Unsponsored defeated the Livewires 3-1. Guard Budapest got by BTC 3-1. The matches between the Alley Pals and Spinners and the Sunset and Superstars both ended 2-2. I'm Earl Baisden reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Thursday, March the 26th, it will be mostly sunny. Winds will be easterly and light, varying southeasterly, light to moderate in the afternoon, increasing southerly and moderate overnight. We're expecting a high near 68 and a low near 60. This weather forecast is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Well, thank you for watching VSB News Online for Wednesday, March the 25th. I'm Charles Webb.